everybody, and thanks for coming. There's a cool echo in here,
Yeah.
so I hope you're all hearing. I just want to. I'm Irish, and we have bladders behind our eyes, so we kind of cry a lot when we get emotional. I'm trying not to do that, but if it happens, it happens. Don't hold it against me. It was a long time ago. A great friend of mine, the late Rick Beauchamp, some of you may know, called me, and he said, I walked out of a post office, and there were two beautiful sighthounds lying in the sun, waiting for its owner to come out. And I fell in love with him, so he waited. And the person came out and introduced these two dogs to Silken Windhounds. This is 20 years ago. And he called me and said, you need to get this breed registered. You need to make them something. They're wonderful. A couple years after that, someone heard that story and brought two Silkens, wherever you are, thank you, to Indiana, to a dog show at judging. And I got to meet them in person and saw what Rick was talking about. I had a secretary and an assistant who were the coolest. She was the coolest person in the world. No one quite knew how to tell her that she never got it right because she was so nice. So she always did these little things that were funny. I was going out to Calistoga to keep on the QT. I was going to go out and get to know the people, talk to them afterwards. And so she rented me a car, and I wanted to just sneak up my old hippie soul onto this fairgrounds and see these dogs. And I got to the airport, and in front of the Hertz office was a yellow Corvette with black racing stripes. And I said, who would rent a car like this? And the guy said, sir, evidently, you. Thanks, Michelle. So I pulled into those fairgrounds at Calistoga, and I was like, who is this idiot, this yellow Corvette? And I snuck into the show very quietly and hung around, and I could hear him go, what's he doing? And by the end of the day, some people were nice enough, and then everybody was, and I met the coolest people that day. And as I recall, and I'm sure it's true, some of you may have been there, I stood on a picnic table in my cowboy boots. You were there, right?
Huh?
In my cowboy boots on the picnic table and gave a speech about how this breed meant so much to me at many levels, and how I owned the UKC at that point, and I wanted to bring them into the fold because we're real good at registering dogs. And you could also plan our events, which gives you another venue. I never see registrations because I'm involved in stuff as a competition. I see them as another option for you to have fun, right? And learn from each other, and the judges have learned from you. So we pulled all that together, and I couldn't have been any more happy. And everybody here that was involved back then that got this together. We had great entries back at Premiere. I got to see so many of them. And I got to go out to Texas and Olympia. My wife isn't much on going to dog shows, but when Olympia came up, she goes, where are you going? I said, Silken's in Olympia. Okay. She's been to 4 of these, and I think she's been to 4 Beagle Nationals and 2 Pointer Nationals. That's about all she's got. But that's how much she loves this breed, and most of these people. Don't ever lose what some people would call naivete. Don't ever lose this beautiful newness you have. You don't seem to, you all want to win, but it's not life or death. This is a celebration of sightings. That's what I see this as. Yeah, they're ribbons. So your breed, I've seen over a long period of years, and I've seen things develop that please me and things that concern me, because that's the way it goes with every single breed. I had the pleasure of owning the Beagle Miss P, who won Best in Show at Westminster in 2014. I could put her on this table and show you all of her virtues. I could also show you all of her liabilities. No dog is perfect, right? So I do a whole seminar on positive judgment, which means I get down the line. When I walk down the line the first time, I'm looking for good in every dog. It could be the worst dog I've seen. I'm going to find something good because I want to get in a positive mindset when I go down that line. So I'm going down and I'm looking for head and expression. This says sighthound to me. I want something that gazes back into the ages and shows me the history of these wonderful animals. I want to see a profile from the side. Shape. It's all about shape. It's not about shape for just aesthetics. shape is balance, shape is harmony, shape is cadence. Shape's going to work out when I see them going around the ring. So I'm looking for all those pieces and parts, and then I'm hoping that they carry it while going around the ring. Anybody I've judged in 7 countries, every judge that's ever judged in more than 1 or 2 venues will tell you the same thing. You all get 20 minutes to watch all the dogs at the same time. You all can look at this dog compared to that. You don't even know you're doing it, right? You're looking at this dog to that dog, this dog to I ain't got that. We might have 2 minutes of eyes on your dog. Because if we're giving you 3 minutes, which I usually it's 1.5, here I gave you all 3 in my clock, in my head, because I could, right? It's not a pressured AKC show where I got 175 to judge. So having that pleasure, I can at least give you the time. Even with that said, my eyes are on your dog for maybe 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. It's all I get to see. If your dog is standing like an A-frame, that's what I see. You have to judge them on the day. If you brought them up individually, we could have a different result. But when I get to see what I see in that moment, that's what I get. I love the amateur level of handling here because everyone's on a level playing field. I love that. I love your exuberance about it. It's an issue for new judges, I've been around a little bit, because you have to see through the handling. Sometimes you can't, but you have to see through it. Now, a couple of you got handling tips today. A couple of you, I moved heads and leads to try to give me the picture I'm looking for that I knew was in there and couldn't see, but you're judging them on the day. We could assemble these same dogs tomorrow, and it could be different. It could be different. So you're judging them on the day. Overall, the strides this breed has made are amazing. Amazing. When you think about, it's been, Francie, 40 years?
Exactly. 1984.
You know?
40 years in 2024.
It's amazing. Now, we both know that from other breeders, I had a friend in England who had boxers with, and when they announced they couldn't show dogs without their tails on, they couldn't dock dogs in England anymore. He wanted a naturally bobbed boxer. He bred to a Welsh Corgi. Do you know what they look like?
Yeah.
Legs is big, long hair, but they're naturally docked. Right? They come naturally docked. 3 generations. He had some good-looking boxers with naturally docked tails. Genetics is an interesting thing. It's not as difficult to do if you know what you're doing. You can do it in 3, 4 generations. But doing it and getting consistency for the long term, that's the question. Fashion and flash is a problem in every breed. Exaggeration, moderation is not the drag of the race. Exaggeration is the drag of the race. And if we keep these dogs in mind as a sighthound that can do its job, that are unique in many ways, because they're not Magyars, they're not Salukis, they're not Greyhounds, they're not Borzoi, they're not Whippets, they are Silken Windhounds. I'm looking for those unique traits that make them that, right? Because I want to be able to tell them in my part, I want to make them a breed. You got that. You've been doing it in a short period of time. Are there bloodlines I can notice? Yeah, I can probably name the sires of some of these dogs, or at least know what they look like in my head. I wasn't surprised when the stud dog classes and the brood bitch classes came in. That's for sure. I could see those things. Now, I want to talk to you about the good things first that I see in the breed. There's a better semblance of size. We had some big ones today. We didn't have any too small for me. We did have some big ones today. It's always going to be something that differentiates you from the Borzoi. So size is an issue because it makes you different than the other breed, right? So keep an eye on that. I didn't see too many, but there were some big ones. And there were even some that were probably in the standard size that were just big. So keep that in mind. Too small, I haven't seen any. I mean, I had some that had too short legs, right? This is a square or slightly off square breed. That to me is a big deal. Long and low is not going to get you far in the long term. You want that acceleration, but you want that endurance. And you're going to get that in a square or slightly off square side. Your standard has a thing that's troublesome to some, because if you don't know about sighthounds and how they work, you'd fall for it. The standard says the rise should start right after the withers. Now I know what you mean, but I can see some judges wanting to start right after the withers. And when you do that, and you get too much arch, you're not going to get the profile. When you combine a short upper arm, which I saw too many of probably, right? And I'm talking about the shoulder angulation on any breed. This is the withers, the top of shoulder blades. They go like this, they go like this. Equal length is a beautiful thing because it's going to give you forward stride, right? If your upper arm is short and your shoulder blade is long, you get this, right? Because where's that bone going to go, right? You don't have it, you can't extend it. So what they typically do is they go choppy, or worse yet, they go hackney. I saw way less hackney than we saw 15 years ago. Way fewer hackney out of it. That's a good thing. But I did see some short upper arms, and they're just not extending as much. You can get carried away with rise over the loin. If you've seen racing greyhounds, who we all know can go fast, you're not going to see, you're going to see where that rise is, where it occurs in the length of the dog, right? So you want the strength over the loin. One fault that I saw today, two things that I would be concerned with. The croup is long and slightly sloping. It's not short and steep. There are quite a few short, steep croups there. The reason that concerns me is it ruins the outline on the go. There are some, and you have to look at coat and markings and all that stuff, but you have a good prominent hip bone, and you got 2 inches to a tail that's placed down here, it changes their outline, and they don't have that power behind, right? They don't give that push that you want to see. So when you see too many strong arches that start early and end too soon and fall into a steep croup, you get a top line that's not really the shape of a functioning racing sighthound. So I started looking for moderation rather than exaggeration, right? Most of all, the parts need to fit together. Did you see my Magyar, my Magyar Agar that was it was a brindle bitch? You could pick pieces apart on her, but her parts fit together so smoothly that she had symmetry in her balance. Nothing stood out. If you have a top one that stands out, a croup that stands out, you're destroying the picture. So consider this. I think of a sighthound as a series of sloping curves that blend together. Any interruption in that curve, be it here, is going to destroy that graceful series of curves. Right? The Greyhound standard says head like a snake, neck like a drake, back like a bream, which is a fish, by the way. It's the rib cage you're talking about. In the Magyars, you want a round, their forechest should be rounded and deep. That's not usual for sighthounds. So you've got to judge the breed as it is. This breed, I had a few that I thought, well, that's kind of pretty. Then I put my hand under there, and there's nothing there. So you do want chests that come down deep enough into the cavity of the dog, and in reference to the height of the elbow, right? So I'm looking for enough leg, and then enough distance from the elbow to the withers as well. I know this is some of this is too esoteric maybe, so if you have questions about that, I'd love to answer them. But overall, that shape has got to just be coming off. Steep, short croups get funny tail carriages, or they end up, that croup brings this under. All right, we're all friends. You're on the toilet. You're wearing jeans, your belt is on, you know, it's open, but it's down there. The phone rings. You left it in the other room. All right, your jeans are on your... I've never done it, but some of you may. That's what happens when you get that short croup and too much rise too early or too late, okay? So that whole smooth outline thing. My 3 to 6 puppy who I tried to give Winter's Dog to, that's a beautiful outline. That shape that comes off, and there's no interruption. No interruption. Nothing goes like this, like this, like this. It's one beautiful line. By the way, I can tell you what's wrong with them too, and I certainly wouldn't, or where I would improve. I can do that on my Best in Show winner from Westminster. So don't think I'm throwing all these faults at you as, oh my God, it's in the world. If there's places that I would focus, it would be, by the way, the short croups, I didn't even realize I was doing it. Francie pointed out, when winters came in, there were no short croups. Those are things that I saw so many of them that it started to concern me. And these aren't even the mental process of a judge out loud in my head. I did an Irish Setter National, I had 282. It took me 2